Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're here near the infamous red light district in Amsterdam, and we're doing an experiment, if you like, getting people's opinion on the legalization of prostitution. And what we're going to try and do is we try and gauge public opinion from our perspective, obviously, as Muslims, right? I mean, we completely are against such legalization. We're going to put a case forward to individuals today and ask them questions, interrogative questions, thought-provoking questions. But one thing should be registered and noted in the beginning of this is that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ actually made a prediction. And the prediction that he made was that there will come a time where people have intercourse with one another like donkeys in front of people in the public. And he said in another hadith that as a result of that, there will be a spread of diseases, the like of which had not preceded the previous people. So these were two prophetic predictions of the Prophet, which we are seeing happen, take place. And what more emblematic a place for it to take place than this place here in Amsterdam. So we're going to be asking people about their views on legalization of prostitution. We'll see what happens. All right, so we're just kind of trying to do some research. Obviously, we're near the infamous red light district, and we're asking questions about what people think of the legalization of prostitution. So what's your opinion?
You are from this region.
I'm from the UK.
You're from the UK. Yeah. What do I think of the legalization of prostitution? I don't believe in legalizing prostitution because I think prostitution is wrong. I think it's bad for society. It degrades women. So no, and I'm a good Catholic girl, so no again.
Well, I would have a lot to agree with you on that point. Yes, I thought maybe you were putting your guard up. It's true. It's true.
The more morality in society, the better it is for everyone.
Fantastic. No, I agree with you. No, it's very true. And as we were kind of doing research on this matter, we found that actually this is a very commodifying and objectifying kind of reality, that women are actually putting themselves...
Yeah, we're objectifying women, and women are screaming to be respected and treated with dignity. So where does that take the discussion about women and freedom and rights for women?
Absolutely, yes.
So I think you need to ask more and more women, not men, about where they stand on that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time. Excellent.
Yep. What are you asking, mate?
We're asking some of your opinions on certain things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? All right. So how are you guys doing, first of all?
Yeah, we're pretty good.
Excellent.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, pretty good as well.
So he's doing the best because he said excellent. You guys said pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah, that's true.
No,
That's
yeah?
true,
Can I change that answer? I'm doing excellent.
Okay, excellent. Now you're...
Very excellent. No, I'm very excellent now.
All right. What are your names?
I'm Jamie.
Kern. I'm Maxi.
I'm Mohammed, yeah? I'm from the UK originally. Thank you. You too.
Whereabouts in the UK?
London. Yep. So I wanted to ask you a question. Obviously, this is quite controversial in almost all the world now about the legalization of prostitution. So what are your opinions on the legalization of prostitution here in Holland since 2000?
Oh, God. I don't really know. What, if it should be legal back home as well, or how?
Or are you from the UK?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were doing a really good UK accent. No, the controversy surrounds... And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. It's whether it should be criminalised here in Holland. There is a discussion about it. What do you are you from the UK as well?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it should be criminalised. Here, at least, you can see the women in the doorway, and they're doing well. They're not walking some sort of street corner. But
have you tried anything with those women? Have you experimented yourself? I mean, have you?
No. But
How about yourself?
No, I haven't, no.
All right.
I know, it looks like I should.
No, okay, all right.
like, are they being exploited or not? So that's what I do wonder about.
So home working on the street.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so I guess if
We'll get your opinion. You're from Holland.
No, I'm French. I'm French.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, and I think if people want to go to the prostitutes, they're going. So shouldn't be criminalized as well. Yeah.
Some of the issues concern most pertinently to human trafficking. So so some say that yeah, it's definitely criminalized.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already criminalized. But the issue is that since it's been legalized here in Holland, human trafficking, which entails slavery, like sexual slavery and so on, has increased. Yeah. So that's the main argument that they use against it. One of the main arguments is...
Has it increased everywhere? Like
anywhere, yeah. So one of the studies that has been done in 2013 which is the effect of human trafficking, prostitution on human trafficking, which has been done by Eric Meyer and others in LSE University of, in the UK. And this is also published in the World Development Journal, that they say that actually countries generally which legalize prostitution, alongside the legalization of prostitution, there's an increase in human trafficking as well. And those countries like Sweden criminalized it, and there's a decrease in human trafficking in that regard. So having those facts in mind, does that change your opinion a little bit?
Yeah, it does a bit. If it was going to increase human trafficking back home, then definitely not. But it was kind of a mindset of saying that it would probably, I thought it would not make as many people on the street or...
So yeah, I did vaguely know about some of the issues with the legalization, some of the arguments, but I understand that it could increase human trafficking, but whether prohibition is the right way of doing it, or whether we need more education and more safeguards for women who do decide to do sex work, if they are deciding to do sex work. So I don't think it should be criminalized, because I think you should be able to, if you want to pay for it, if you want to sell it, you should be able to do that. But yeah, I do.
Let me put you guys in a scenario which might be a bit weird, all right? This might be a bit weird. I'm not sure if you're intending to use the services here in your holidays, but what I was going to say was that, say for instance, because in this country, right, you have to pay before the services are done, right? So you have to actually pay the money before. And obviously they've got buttons in there and stuff if they feel like they're being raped. So if you have to pay for the services, for instance, right, and you go in, I mean, you're a young lad, whatever, maybe it's not going to happen with you, but you take off your shirt and you start getting ready, and she says, you know what, I'm not attracted to you, get out. But she's already taken your money, right? Yeah. So can you see the issues here? I mean, what would you do in that scenario?
Well, can you get a refund?
You can't get a refund.
You can't get a refund. Well, I suppose...
She's taking 50, is it 50 euros or? You don't know? Okay, that was a test, huh? How much is it?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
It seems to happen. It must happen on the street when it's not like legislated or whatever. So I'm sure, and probably much worse consequences happen. I guess it's the same kind of argument with weed. Like, if you legalize it.
No, I think with weed it's a little bit different, because at least you can kind of measure the thing, and there is a physical substance being.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I guess it is. People and weed are different. Yeah. I guess legislation is never really going to take people's feelings into account, is it?
Let me put you. Yeah, go on.
I mean, I suppose even though you are paying for it, the woman doesn't have to really accept it. So I understand that. Be pissed off about it, yeah, but
you just wasted 50 euros.
Yeah, you've wasted that money, but you can't exactly force yourself on a woman because of 50 euros. So, do you know what I mean?
What if that happened, man? Yeah, I'm sure you.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? I mean, let me put you in a.
Yeah.
Shall I put you one more scenario?
Everything here, mate.
I'll put you in.
French,
oh yeah. Let me put you in another scenario. So say you've paid the money. She's happy to have you. You go inside the room. You close the curtains or whatever it is, and then afterwards you start having intercourse. 3 minutes in, she starts saying, get off me, right? And then she starts saying that you raped, she pushes the button, she says you raped her because you didn't get off her as quickly as you should have. Now, you see how that can be quite a challenging scenario. Yeah. How would you avert that?
I don't know. I've never been in that situation, and I never hope I would be. But because that is really grey. You can't really... Sorry, I don't have it. I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking here, and yeah, I mean, I don't want any woman to be raped, and issues with consent and things like that. But yeah, that's real difficult. Sorry,
it's just something to have in your mind.
Yeah.
But thank you very much, guys, for your contributions. Take care, guys. See you later. Thank you, man. Take care, man. Yeah, so as you guys have seen, the main argument seems to be one of liberty. A woman should do whatever she wants to do. If you want to sell the body, you can sell the body. If you want to buy it, you should be able to buy it. So it's one of freedom. But the main challenge, as we've seen also, has been one of restriction of freedom, quite ironically as well, because, yeah, you're increasing the freedom, supposedly, for one group of consumers and suppliers, in the case of the prostitutes, but you would be restricting the freedom of those people being human trafficked because the demand is increasing, and of course because those people don't have a choice in the matter whatsoever. So if something that you're doing, the byproduct of which is an increase in slavery in society here in Europe, the question is, should we continue doing that thing or not? But here, when we go back to the issue of human trafficking, someone could argue, though, that if you give, because what it is
that's
that...
a different question. It is the rules and legislation which should have a certain control in it. When that's failing, then you have the human trafficking and the abuse and misuse of the women. So control it. Put your focus as a government or as a police state or whatever on that and not on the women.
From your experience and from your knowledge here in the country, do you know, like when, for example, when women close the curtains and they offer the service, whatever they're offering for X amount of minutes, I don't know how it works.
Or whatever.
Yeah, so when that happens, the concern here is that what happens in the closed room as well. So, for example, if a woman is being raped,
they have a button.
Yes, okay.
Immediately, there will be a police or whatever around.
Yeah. So if they press the button, and then the person who is the one who is the alleged, so the one who's being alleged of rape, if they deny that allegation, so how do we resolve that kind of an issue?
That is legislation, because it's a one-on-one situation.
Right. So and another question I've always wondered as well, right? So for example, if someone, because you have to pay before you get the service, isn't it?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would walk away and say bye. Yeah. Oh, darling, no.
Yeah. So, so if the payment is done before the service, right, and the service is not provided,
and the service is not provided.
Yeah. So how can that be resolved?
You're a bad saleswoman.
Yeah. So, but doesn't that mean that there's a miscarriage of justice in a sense? Because obviously, if the payment is not provided, so for example, if you go inside and you pay the money, right? Yeah. Not yourself, some ex-person, Tom goes in and pays the person, right? Yeah. And he pays and then the woman says, you know what? She looks at the person. He takes off his shirt. You know, he doesn't look so good. He doesn't want to continue with this. She says, get out of the room. So what now? What now? Yeah.
It is. You have to make the rules very clear.
Yeah, but how would you uphold those rules? I mean, I'm just really wondering.
You have to make that very clear. Yeah. But that's a business contract for that very moment. And when that's not being followed, then there's a wrong thing happening. And then you have to press charges or whatever, or sue somebody. Try.
I would think that would be quite difficult to prove. But thank you very much for your opinion. What they found was that in 2013, when they did this study, which was entitled "Does the legalization of prostitution increase human trafficking?" Now, I think that was the name of the study, right? And it was in World Development Journal, right? Mm-hmm. They found that when you criminalize prostitution, what that does is it decreases human trafficking. When you legalize it, it increases it. And they looked at more than one case study, and it was pretty multidisciplinary in the sense that there was more than one professor looking at it and so on. So just on that fact alone, do you think if that can be proven...
If that can be proven, then we should stop. Yes. Because, I mean, human trafficking is always is wrong.
Yes.
So we should stop that if we could, one way or another. But I'm not clear if it's one way or another.
Right.
And it's I don't have the solution for it.
No, I see what you're saying, and because what human trafficking is really is slavery, isn't it? So,
on the other hand, it's always something has been there. Prostitution is always something that is there. Yeah. Even if it's very like in China, where I work now with Chinese people. It's not allowed in China, but it's a lot in China. Mm-hmm. If I go there, every hotel there you have some prostitutes, and I think, this is not good.
Yes. But I'm very happy to gauge your opinion because you seem to be quite balanced, at least in thinking that, you know, if there's good enough evidence, then it should be.
Yeah,
Should
of
be
course.
criminalized.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Take care. All right, so we've been able to gauge some public opinion, and there are mixed, as you would have expected, mixed opinions here in Amsterdam about the legalization of prostitution. Obviously, from an Islamic perspective, prostitution is one of the worst things you can do because it's objectifying, commodifying women, and it's putting them in a situation of, you know, desperation, sometimes abuse. They're very vulnerable. And obviously, we believe in the 5 objectives in the Sharia, one of them being the protection of ard, or the dignity of a human being. And so we feel like sexual intercourse should only be done in the confines of, you know, one's private spaces, but also in the institution, through the institution, for example, of marriage. And so from our perspective, the case is quite clear. I mean, just imagine this. I mean, this is a place where you would see someone in the back here literally prancing around, you know, showing their bodies for display, almost kind of similar to what you'd see in a butcher shop. I mean, you know, slabs of meat moving around. I mean, you got to think about the psychological state of a person who would be literally standing here with red lights and so on, publicizing their bodies in order to make money, really. And that's how many times does one have to do that a day before it becomes taxing on the body, taxing on the mind? How many possibilities are there of abuse in that process? How much things can go wrong, how much AIDS can be spread, how much STDs can be spread. And this, of course, goes back to the prophetic tradition of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, our prophet, who predicted in the future that there will come a time where people will be having sexual intercourse like donkeys in public. And then people will be doing it and not having anything to say about it. And this society has acquiesced to a high extent to this practice of prostitution, happening in this country, despite the fact, as we've mentioned, that human trafficking has gone up, forced labor has gone up, sexual slavery has gone up, and so on and so forth. So I think I would leave everyone here today with thinking about our purpose in life. How do you become self-actualized as a human being? Is it by, you know, selling your body? I mean, something so that ought to be potentially quite private to you, your physical body, giving that to as many men or women, and unfortunately in the case of Amsterdam, it's men giving it to women for the most part, which is of course a slap in the face to feminism, which talks about equality as well. But all of that being said, what should we do? I think we should go back to basics as human beings and think about what the purpose of life is. And I think that the purpose of life is when you are in line with the divine will, in line with what you're meant to do as a human being in this world. And I don't think it's this. Now, before anyone judges, I mean, we didn't come here in a peak hour or peak time, and we were directed by the locals, of course, to come to areas where there would not be any commodification, publicizing of bodies going on. So, alhamdulillah, we didn't see anything we oughtn't not to have seen. But it was an experience which showed me, unfortunately, the backward elements of European society and civilization, which ought to be remedied by introspection, frankly, and intellection, 2 things which are part of the European project and hopefully can continue to be so. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.